What's up, everybody? Hello. Goddamn. I already messed it up.
It's all right.
Hello,
And
ladies and youngins. My name's Charlie Savage.
my name's Ethan Odenthal.
And welcome to episode 1 of season 2 of Outer Rim Radio, the podcast made by Star Wars nerds for Star Wars nerds. Today, we're going to give you the quick and dirty guide on what you need to know before we watch Star Wars The Bad Batch, which comes out on May 4th. So, Odie.
Sorry, we had technical difficulties.
we both just froze.
I got really scared. So hopefully, stream looks fine from what I'm looking at right now. So we're going to talk about Bad Batch today. We're recording this on the 2nd, 2 days out. So I'm pretty excited. But before we get into that and kind of give you guys what you need to know, or just kind of overview everything that we expect to see in the show based off what we know, we do have a little bit of news. Both in Star Wars news, we're going to talk about all this hot news from across the galaxy, but we also have some stuff going on with Charlie and I and our new direction of our show. So first big thing, and I feel like this has been rumored for all of my adult life, but KOTOR is basically all but confirmed to get its final remake that it deserves, as per the developers who ported KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic video game before, are being rumored. I don't even know how to describe it because it's like a rumor that's basically confirmed. They've tweeted about it. They've tweeted with.
It's like the rumor came out and they're like, well, yeah.
Yeah,
it's like PR was like, I mean, run with it. If we just keep vaguely hinting at it, people will just keep talking about it. So,
you know what, good on them.
Yeah.
But something that's a little more set in stone, other than a tweet just saying yes. Book of Boba, the Book of Boba Fett, has finally started production. They're starting to film. They're starting to get everything going. So we're pretty excited for that because that's probably going to be our next big new show after the Bad Batch.
Well, that and Visions. I don't know how many Visions is supposed to be.
Yeah, that is also true. So
that's also supposed to come out this year, which I'm assuming that will be like August-ish, August, September. If this is going to carry us.
We're running into, and we'll cover that when we talk about the timeline of the Batch, but we're pretty much gonna have something starting May 4th every single week, probably for the discernible future. So that's some pretty big news that we have going.
Because it's Bad Batch is like 14 episodes, right?
No, it's 8. It's at least 18.
Is it?
Yeah. So we'll get into this in a second. Oh no, it's confirmed for at least 14. You're right. Sorry.
Look at me with my numbers.
We'll get there. That's why we'll get there in a second. But before that, Charlie and I have some exciting news. We're able to focus a little more energy into the podcast. So Charlie, if you want to kind of talk about that and what we'll be doing here for the future, that'd be great.
So we're making a few changes to the show and its format. Nothing that big as viewers, but what we are changing is when the show is, and that's probably the most important. And also, we're not starting out on the best foot, given the fact we're doing this on a Sunday night instead of what we normally do. But we're also going to be doing a special on May the 4th because we know there's going to be a lot of news. That's basically just Star Wars Day. And Bad Batch comes out. So every week we're going to have a weekly reaction episode to Bad Batch in addition to any news and other things. And if we find that, talking about one 28-minute episode of Bad Batch or something isn't filling, we can always do more stuff and maybe do smaller Star Wars things we can add on to it.
We'll have multiple segments. So basically the breakdown of the show is going to be, we're going to talk about Bad Batch a little bit every week, just kind of like we would if The Mandalorian had came out every week, one of those big shows. And we'll cover some different topics. So it gives us a little bit more room to have variety in our episodes. But yeah, like Charlie said, new episodes coming out every Friday. The only exception is this first episode, which is kind of our getting into this new phase. And then on Tuesday, May 4th, we're doing a special for the 70-minute premiere, which is a great transition.
Yeah.
Because we should now talk about the Bad Batch and that timeline, because it pretty much directly correlates with what we're we're going to do for the show. So,
Yeah.
Bad Batch, the very first episode we're getting here in 2 days as of recording this. On May 4th, we're going to get a 70-minute premiere episode. And it's going to lead us in, probably taking us from what is going on from when we last left the team to what the main plot of the story is going to be. So that should be exciting. We're confirmed for at least 14 episodes. And I did the math because that's including this one. And that's going to take us basically to July 31st.
Yeah.
So, and the reason we know it's going to be at least 14 episodes is because one of the animators tweeted out that he was working on this episode 14 thing and ran into this little fluke. And let me see if I can pull that tweet up real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
I probably should have done this before, but
I mean, yeah, we always do it on the fly. That's why it's live. It's fun. It's conversational.
The important thing there is it's going to be a long running show.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 28 minutes. We're kind of going back to that cartoon, The Mandalorian, which was a little long format, but those were 8 episodes. Now, granted, we may see a full 22 episode because that's what Disney usually does.
Cartoons.
Because when it was brought to Netflix, it was 22 episodes on Cartoon Network, and it was brought to Netflix and it hit 13. And then for that final season, Disney reduced it to 12, but they did have a pretty consistent vision. So we don't really know where we're going to be with that, but it's going to be at least 14 due to this tweet from Kevin Kenner when he was working on the series. He said, "I'm working on episode 14 now. I hope I can say that. I think I can. I just did a big action cue. It's in a jungle scene. I'm having a great time with it." So
that's so cool.
Pretty exciting news.
Do we want to speculate on the jungle?
The jungle? Yeah, that's where I don't know, because even with the Bad Batch and what we got with the Clone Wars, they weren't afraid to put them in planets we hadn't seen before.
This is very true.
I mean, Anaxis, I don't even know how much Anaxis had been talked about at that point.
The only thing I can think of is when it's in Rebels and it wasn't even named by literal name. You can literally just see that it was Anaxis when they go and they have that when it's Kanan and Ezra and they have that encounter with the why is my blanking on the word? Oh my god, I'm so bad.
I mean, moral of the story is it's we get new locations with these guys, and I think we're going to
the Grand Inquisitor. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, that's.
And then Kanan's like, you have to talk to these animals, and then Ezra, just apparently hits it off with the terrifying bad things, and that's the last time we saw it.
The Pterodarks.
Yeah.
So, if you've never seen the last season of Star Wars: The Clone Wars, I really recommend you watch it. I recommend you watch The Clone Wars as a fan, but in case you haven't and you're really just prepping, getting that quick cheat sheet kind of thing in before you watch the new Bad Batch show, we'll just kind of go over what all the major themes are, who are the characters, what we're dealing with. And I think the first thing we need to answer that for viewers, Charlie, is who is the Bad Batch?
Right. So, I guess I'll tackle this one. So the Bad Batch, they're known as Clone Force 99. They're named in honor of a previously fallen clone. Do you know what the exact episode is where that happens? I don't know it off the top of my head.
I would say yes, and I think it's also kind of a spoiler, but all you need to know if you haven't watched Clone Wars is Clone 99 was the one of the first defective clones.
Yeah.
And he had a pretty big influence on one of the groups that inspired many of the Clone Wars arcs, which is Domino Squad.
Yeah.
So these guys are all genetically mutated, basically super soldiers. Like they're all the best at what they do.
Yeah.
And it's all a brainchild of George Lucas. And this has been confirmed in interviews countless times when the Clone Wars was coming out, and especially that final season, that he had a lot of influence from Westerns, and then he confirmed it during season 7's release. But this is based off of the movie Dirty Dozen from 1967.
Yeah.
So they're based off of...
Which is a great movie, by the way. Everyone should watch it.
Yeah, it is a very good movie. if you're a cinema buff, you should pretty much watch that. But
Yeah.
all I'm gonna say is like this is the most badass group of heroes in Star Wars. That is my hot take. I mean, there are
And I
more
think that's
cool.
intentional. Like,
Yeah, there are more cool guys. Don't look at explosion moments than anyone else in Star Wars. It's basically Star Wars meets the A Team.
yeah.
It's ridiculously cool. So what you're looking out for is you've got a group of mercenaries who we're going to go over. They're going to be mercenaries. We'll get into that. Um, but just genetically modified clones. They're not like anything you've seen before. Just watch the movies, and I think let's get into tackling who our squad is here, Charlie.
Yeah, so I think the person that's best to start off with is well, do we start with do you think we should start with Hunter or Echo?
Let's go with Hunter.
All right, let's go with Hunter. Hunter is the leader of the group. Um his genetic modification, each of them have like a unique skill. Um in it his he can he basically has a very strong sense, which is fitting cuz he's Hunter. Like he can detect like magnetic waves and he has just very good senses, hence the
Yeah, so
name.
he is attuned with electromagnetic senses, and one of my favorite quotes about him, and pretty much describes him, is Tech, who is another one of these guys. He says maps can be Hunter ever. So he's actually revealed. It was also revealed during the same interview with George Lucas and Filoni and all these guys that he's actually based off of a character from the 1987 film Predator. So
Which is
he literally
surprising that
looks
he's
like
not based off Rambo.
yeah, he looks like Rambo. I mean, if you're watching the video and you don't know who he is, it's
The guy in the middle.
the guy right in the middle. I'm so bad about
He
pointing
literally
out
looks
right
like
now, but
Stallone. He has the
he,
jaw.
yeah,
Like
he really does. So he is the action hero leader, just everything you expect. He's gruff but kind and caring, good with people. He's just perfect. He's
yeah.
just perfect. It's
He
stupid.
yeah, like he's got a little bit of like a bad boy sort of thing going on with just appearance wise. But
Yeah.
he's definitely the leader. He's the most mature of the group. He's got enough. He's respected enough to put anyone in their place when they feel like being a little bit extra, which
Yeah, and
you see
that's
in
the
like
thing that
season
you need to
7.
note here is when we say leader of the group, like these are all guys who they're spec ops, they answer to no one. During the Clone Wars, all they did was just go out and get the job done. They were the guys you sent when you needed stuff done. You needed
Which is
five.
literally the plot of A Team.
Yeah, you
But it's
needed
like
5 guys to take
you're
out an army.
yeah, it's like you're in trouble and you don't know who to call. Apparently, it's the A Team Ghostbusters and now Bad Batch.
Yeah,
Those are
Star
the-
Wars is. I don't know what up Star Wars, but it's all about the Clone Wars specifically. But it's all about ripping off the 80s. It's kind of weird.
I love it.
Um, it's got an aesthetic. That's for sure. But Hunter is the one they all respect. That's really what I'm trying to get at. So he is the leader of this group who can't be led, for lack of a better term. So next in there, we've got Tech. Tech. He is, as he sounds, he is the tech wizard of the group.
Yeah.
We're gonna cover Echo last,
All right.
because we'll get in that. But Tech, he is basically the tech wizard. It's really all to describe him. He's just a really nice character.
He's a big nerd.
He's a big nerd, takes care of things. He's that kind of out of it sometimes getting stuff done, but
Yeah.
he's really, I don't want to say not notable in that, but his biggest personality trait is he's just extremely logical and analytical.
Yeah. Like he is what you would think your typical nerdy character is, and there's really nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I
He's the
mean,
archetype gets it done.
yeah, he's like Bentley from Sly Cooper. He's your Blue Power Ranger and Dino Thunder.
Jesus Christ, that was a good one.
You're welcome for that.
Oh man. So the next one we're gonna cover is Crosshair. He is a little more, I would say, unique than the other ones. So Crosshair is standard thing. He is the sniper. He's the marksman of the group. His helmet literally has a crosshair, and he has one of the
Tattooed on his eye,
tattooed on his eye.
and then
They all
onto his
have
helmet.
face
Like
paint and tattoos, and uh,
Yeah.
Their extra 80 movies kind of shit. So his big thing is he is a clone, and he is the most standoffish attitude, and the only thing that matches it in weight is his skill and marksmanship. He hits some ridiculous shots in the Clone Wars that make you question how these guys even wrote it in the writers' room. Throwing
Yeah.
grenades 100 feet in the air and shooting them out so you could hit the exact amount
He's
of
like, pull.
droids. Seriously, it's like they're shooting oh,
Play pigeons.
clay pigeons. Thank you. I blanked for a second. It
Yeah.
is he is crazy good marksmanship, but he has an attitude for sure. If
Yeah.
anyone's gonna cause trouble and start a fight in this group, it's him. And we're not talking like he's trying to fight people, just as mean as nails.
Yeah. He's very antagonistic.
He likes to
He
pick fights.
yeah, he does. And he does it it really seems like he does it cuz he just either
Likes to get
wants
under
to
people's skin.
yeah, like he likes to get under people's skin. He just likes to pick on people. Uh and also he likes to feel like he's right or better in a
Yeah.
sense.
He
Like
likes to feel superior for sure,
yeah, which
which
will
is
be
a
a
very important note. So remember that. Remember
going
that.
into this show.
Remember that. He likes to be better than everyone, and he thinks he's superior. That might sound like the Empire. I don't know about you all.
Just a thought.
Just a
Just a
thought.
thought. Then it's toy
And
set.
lastly, and I say that in air quotes for you all listening on audio, we have Wrecker. He is basically your Russian bruiser, and this is the four who are the original clones of 99 of Clone Force 99.
Yeah.
Before they're joined by one more that we'll talk in a second. You have so we got Wrecker here. He is your classic 80s action film bruiser, basically a Russian. He's like
Yeah. He's
the
Zangief.
classic. He's literally Zangief. It's hilarious. But to top that all, like literally, that's all you need to describe him. He wants to get in fights. He wants to break shit. But don't
He just
forget,
likes
he's
blowing
scared
stuff
of
up.
fights.
Yeah,
He likes
that's
blowing
true.
stuff up. He wants a kill count, and that's
He's
kind of
very
his thing.
similar to Murray.
Yeah, him, Crosshair and Wrecker, they had this little competition between who could get the highest kill count. And the thing about Wrecker, for him, it's about thrill. And the thing about Crosshair is at times it seems a little
It's all about showing off.
sadistic. Like it's showing off, being better. Where like Wrecker, he blows up a ship and he says, "This is the best day of my life" as he blows up a. So,
Yeah.
gotta love Wrecker.
Yeah.
But the newest, as of the Clone Wars, before we watch the Bad Batch, the newest addition to this crew is Echo.
Yeah.
And Charlie, I'll let you cover Echo.
Yeah. So Echo, he's one of the first characters. If you watch Clone Wars and Domino Squadron, like onward, like he's one of the first regular clones you're introduced to, and he's one of the most important clones, especially for one that isn't like immediately an ARC trooper, which he does become and work his way up to becoming an ARC trooper, but he's not like an ARC trooper commander at the beginning. Like you meet him basically on his first mission, and then they give you an ARC before even that, and so he's really great. Should I spoil the ARC? This is my only question.
Okay.
Before I explain more,
I would say, because the point of this episode is that we are giving people who haven't seen it or have seen all, like if you've seen all of Clone Wars, you're good.
yeah.
If you're just watching this because you want to watch Bad Batch and you want to know it up, you're good. If you don't want anything spoiled about one of the most pivotal characters, not pivotal, but one of the most interesting characters in the Clone Wars, 33 episodes of that.
You just cut out. Sorry.
What part did I cut out?
You're like one of the most pivot.
Okay, one of the most important characters. If you don't want Echo's arc spoiled, I would skip forward like 2 minutes on this. Or if you're live, close your ears and go no for
No.
2 minutes. But I think it is important to cover what happens. It's kind of why he joins Clone Wars 99.
Yeah. So, originally given his nickname for repeating orders during training, Echo rapidly grew as an individual as he was presumed dead on the Citadel mission arc. Which I mean, it was pretty conclusive. I mean, and also we have a thing for characters back, but I really like what they did. Normally, I'm against bringing back characters, as we've talked about in this show, but Echo, I was really all for it. Uh, and but he didn't actually die. He was knocked unconscious. He was then taken as a prisoner of war, and the separatists, uh, led by Wat Tambor in this instance as the Techno Union, uh, they experimented on Echo, and he basically became a heavily modified cyborg. And he was in that arc in Bad Batch. They go in and they rescue him, and he realizes that he's no longer a normal clone. As much as he wants to be and wants to be with Rex and all the people he came up with, he's as unique as anyone in the Bad Batch, and that's who he joins, and that's why he'll be in the show.
Yeah, you got it. You got it to a T. Um, so
You can resume and not stop nananing.
yeah, we'll put a timestamp
An
anyway.
enemy? And then an enemy?
We'll put it something on the YouTube or whatever. But anyway, so
Yeah.
we can move past those characters. That's what we know. There is one more character who will be in the Bad Batch, but we're gonna get into that in a couple seconds because we have a few more things we need to cover. Because well, let's just jump right into the other characters. I don't think it's important to say yet. Like if you want to prep yourself on the day before and do a marathon, we'll kind of cover that at the end. We'll backtrack because I think the
Yeah.
flow is not as good there. So. Um, in the theme of characters and 99, if you've watched any of the Bad Batch trailers, you've kind of looked at any of the art or the posters, you might have noticed that there is a child, specifically a young girl with the crew, with Clone Force 99. And this girl has been confirmed. Her name has been confirmed. She's a new character, only making her debut, and it is named Omega. It was only confirmed using closed captioning. You just kind of looked at the dialogue tags,
Yeah.
and when she speaks, it's in there. And based off of that name, that makes us think this is the last clone
Yeah.
because the
You know,
Alpha and
an
Omega.
Omega. Yeah.
So it will be very interesting to see where this goes. And this is where her presence brings a lot of question into what is going to go on in the show.
Yeah.
To the point where I can't even speculate because I have no good, I have no
Yeah.
earthly idea.
Like we can't really speculate too much because we literally know nothing about her, and we can really only infer because of the name, like we've talked about, that yeah, she's probably the last clone. Why? Because she's young and she's named Omega. Like, but I imagine that her being the last clone, there's probably going to be something that makes her special, and I imagine the Empire in this era will probably chase after them for that being desirable and wanting to just get rid of the Bad Batch. Because if she were like the other clones, she'd have the chip, and it wouldn't probably be a problem. And we can pretty much assume that all of the characters in the Bad Batch don't have the Order 66 chip in their head.
The inhibitor chip.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically.
It will be interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look her up on like Wikipedia, even it's literally just going to say set to appear in the show, found in closed captioning, and then they talk about the scene. But I think the thing that doesn't get talked about the most, and I find the most interesting, is she's actually has fight scenes in the trailer,
Yeah.
and she's wielding a bow, which for all you Super Star Wars nerds out there, it looks almost exactly like, with some variation, like one of the Night Sister bows.
Yeah. I mean,
Now,
that's the most direct thing, I think.
yeah, and I will say in Star Wars there are some reskins like that, and this might be in the world of speculation just an easy coincidence, but it is a very cool image because it's got this purple almost structure to it. She's like pulling back a laser bolt kind of
Yeah.
thing. So I'm very excited to see this because I mean she's basically just a child warrior, and seeing her pull that back was kind of badass. So at the
Yeah.
very least, it's going to be cool to see just this development of this girl in Star Wars. And I mean, as Charlie and I have talked about before, one of the coolest things about Star Wars is how well, you know, they're able to make strong female characters and make
Yeah.
them lovable and believable. I mean, Ahsoka Tano is the most beloved, one of the most beloved characters in Star Wars.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I also think there's a lot of characters from Clone Wars that we're going to see overlapping, even if it is
oh
for
yeah,
a few small arcs. Because even in Rebels, like, they brought, like, Leo and Lando into the show. Like,
yeah. So I'm hopeful because based off of the timeline and when this in, a lot of stuff they can cross over with new productions, with
yeah.
old stuff they've been doing. So the sky's the limit. But
Yeah.
with that, they have already confirmed some kind of crossover stuff. Well,
Yeah.
not even confirmed. We've been shown. Fennec Shand,
Yeah. Who's in The
supposed to be in this for the
Mandalorian,
Mandalorian.
which now makes her, which is cool because that actress gets to appear in that character for both roles, but she was also an animated Disney princess already.
I know.
So being able to go from that to uh playing a character in another Disney cartoon,
Yeah.
ostensibly.
I mean, the character of Fennec Shand is so cool. I mean, it's just this very cool, calculating sniper mercenary. That's
Yeah,
in many ways very reminiscent of Crosshair,
yeah. Which,
except the attitude's a little bit more turned down with Fennec. She's just calculating
yeah,
and
she's more calm and confident, where he's more,
arrogant.
yeah, elitist, arrogant, sort of.
Yeah, but the thing about Fennec is, I mean, she's a mercenary, right? She's a bounty hunter,
Right.
and with with some leaks and some tweets, it's basically been confirmed that they're going to be doing bounty hunter work. Not bounty hunter, but they're going to be mercenaries.
Mercenaries, yeah.
So, and with
Like we
the
said, they're basically the A team.
yeah, and so because they're the A team, they're going to have people hunting them. They're going to be working as mercenaries. So it's going to be interesting. Is Fennec Shand going to be an ally? There's so many ways that can go. I think the most interesting would be Fennec Shand is hunting them because, as we know, based off the timeline, they can't kill her.
Yeah.
Um, so that brings a lot of tension as to how they can
You just cut out really
escaping.
hard again.
We're having audio
Do you
problems.
think you could plug your mic out and plug it back in or something?
Yeah, let me try.
All right. Because you have like one words that I'll cut out, or cut out like half a word, but it's like no biggie because you can tell what you're saying. But
Yeah, I think it's my internet more than anything.
gotcha. Yeah. Anyways, but yeah, for her, we don't really know if she's gonna be an enemy or an ally. I'm leaning towards of ally, but I think it's really cool that we see her. We'll see Saw Gerrera, who I'm very interested to see in this era, because I mean, we kind of have this point of like we know what breaks him, and then we see he's several years later he's radical throughout the rest of his life. You know, and we don't really have any sort of that build and that development that really supports that outside of his like initial trauma. You know,
Oh yeah,
we just kind of see him in Clone Wars, and then we see him in Rebels, and then Rogue One. So yeah,
it's it's going to be interesting because we have a lot of the extremes of Saw Gerrera's life, right?
yeah,
This is really his beginnings.
yeah,
So I'm very excited to see how they can start the development, and I hope they go somewhere subtle and really build a there. Because
yeah,
I think our boys are just the Bad Batch is going to be running into a lot of icons. I mean, the main villain, and this is a big thing from the trailer, is Grand Moff Tarkin.
yeah. Uh, he certainly seems to be the main antagonist from what we can tell, or at least that trailer makes you believe it. And I don't think they would include Tarkin at all if he wasn't going to be apparent in the show.
Yeah,
It's kind
and
of like it'd be like if you showed Thrawn, but he's not really there that often. If they did that in Rebels, like he's probably going to be the main antagonist because this is probably the Bad Batch. Probably won't be Vader's main concern. Vader may appear, but it's not going to be that sort of deal, you know?
yeah, and I mean you've read the Tarkin book, so I think you situations they
You cut
tend
out
to.
again, super bad.
God dang, I was gonna
You,
say
the last words you said were you read the Tarkin book, so.
Well, I mean, that was basically what I said. No, with the Tarkin books and you knowing the situations he's usually put into, what we expect from him. But for me, I see him as being the main antagonist for a little bit. I mean, this is going to be a very, hey, run around and do crazy stuff while this
Yeah,
main plot happens in the background. I don't think they're going to be going from point A to Z, just direct path. Like they're just trying to
yeah,
find a new life and a new way of life, but they're going to be hunted. And Grand Moff Tarkin is going to be sending everything he can, at least for a little bit, while
yeah,
to get them. So I think he'll at least be the initial main antagonist.
yeah. I think he'll be the day one sort of, because they even have in the trailer, like the initial trailer, they're like Clone Force 99 and like capable of wiping out an entire army. Like, there's no way that he's not like preparing to fight them
Yeah,
the way it's
he's.
portrayed. So, like,
I
it's
mean, in the
definitely
trailer,
adversarial.
yeah, it's adversarial, and exactly because in the trailer, he's basically stating like he's testing their loyalty. He wants to see what they can do, but he wants to test that they'll listen to him and they'll follow his orders, and that's why he wants rid of them
Yeah,
because they're not going to be subservient.
yeah, and that's actually a really great uh like that makes Tarkin like the perfect antagonist for this group because that plays really well into if you read the Tarkin novel, it goes back and it tells stories of his youth and it really fits. Um, there's essentially these animals that are kind of like monkeys on his own planet. I forget what the name is, but it was in Light of the Jedi. Was the planet was that's like where one of the battles was, but
Right.
on his home planet, basically, he has to basically go to like this area, live with these animals, and basically he five heads it. Uh, and instead of like they have like all these like different ways of loyalty and stuff, and he by the time he figures out how to do it, he shocks the like the basically like the leader of like this indigenous like animal tribe into he makes them all fight each other so he doesn't have to.
Hmm.
So like his like awareness and mental control sort of just being big brained in this sort of way and observing people and taking everything into instance and slow consideration is very good for a long overarching villain in my opinion.
Yeah, he's very calculating.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what the
With the planet,
yeah.
is it Iridao? I
Yeah,
forgot.
Irdu. Yeah.
Yeah, Iridu. Thank you. I forget. I always forget how to pronounce that.
Yeah.
Since I've usually only seen it in reading.
And then they yeah. Uh or
But
is
yeah,
it
I mean,
Iriadu? That's how he says it. He's like
yeah.
Iriadu. Yeah.
But like Charlie just said, I mean, the biggest thing we can expect with him is he's going to be relentless and calculating, and he's going to use every asset. So I think
He
with
yeah.
a group like um, the Bad Batch, that's your perfect villain.
Yeah,
Just
well, I think what he's
throwing
gonna do
every
is he's
force
gonna
you
try
got.
to turn them against each other, and I think that's what we'll see with a certain character first.
Yeah, we're not going to spoil that because rip us.
Yeah, I mean, at least I don't feel that bad about it because it was at least speculated literally the first time I saw a trailer. Then I went to Star Wars Explained, watched like his like reaction to it, and he's like, I think this, and I was like, yeah, you're right. And then it was like,
Then it got leaked. So,
yeah, and
but
I was like,
anyways, we won't dwell on it because we don't want to release it and spoil people because
yeah,
it's pretty cool. I mean, that'll be a fun thing to watch. So,
yeah, it's the
Charlie,
carry-on spike. That's what it was. Okay, sorry.
do you have any expected like plot arcs? Anything you think we're definitely going to be seeing, or even from the trailer that you're just excited for and think that's where it will go?
Um, so from things that I think are possible, I think there's a very good chance we run into Boba Fett in this period, especially we because of the Boba Fett Cad Bane arc being inconclusive. I think working that arc somehow into the show is certainly possible, but I can see where the Bad Batch could somehow have to get involved if they're becoming more mercenaries and having to do more underworld sort of stuff and dealing with like more gangs and seeing how the Empire persists with it. I still think there's a really good chance we'll even see Maul in the show. Because we know he has control all the way up through Solo of gangs. So I think those are some characters I think we should be on the lookout for.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're perfectly right there. I mean, we might see some I'm not gonna say Mando. We're not gonna. I don't know about Den, but we might see some more Mandalorian influence in
Yeah,
this.
like
There's
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Bo-Katan somehow or some
yeah, that's
little
my big
conflict of like if they're mercenaries that I mean if there's anyone that's gonna put up a fight with the Empire in a certain level, even if it's like just taking someone away that was like kidnapped or is imprisoned, which could totally just be an arc of like breaking into a Mandalorian prison.
yeah,
Like
and breaking someone out. I mean, it's gonna be interesting because the thing about the Bad Batch is I think they can go just about anywhere.
yeah,
That's the exciting thing, right? I mean,
they're
with the
beholden to
Mandalorian,
nothing. It's not like there's like a war and a conflict and you have to flesh out all these parts. It's really like the universe is kind of really just open to write this.
yeah, and that's what I'm excited for. The thing that I saw that was really cool was just the presence of Rex and um,
Yes.
the trailers. And it's not only like in the initial parts of it, like, oh, hey, Rex is here, betrayed and done all this stuff. Like, no, we see Rex fighting with them
Yeah.
in a jungle.
Yeah. And I'm very interested to see how much of the show Rex is involved in because we know from Rebels that he at some point needs to go and he might work with the Bad Batch to, go get these other clones. That could be his like quest, to get like Wolf and Gregor and like them having more clone conflicts and what it's like, touching on the themes of what does it mean to be a clone, especially after the Clone Wars have ended.
Yeah, and I think that would be something to
Also, I
explore
really hope they
because
go back to the Deserter. I
yeah,
really,
uh,
what's his
which
name?
we don't need to get into, but it is one of the most pivotal episodes in the Clone Wars. So if you want to watch it, you can always. What's the episode title?
It's literally the Deserter. I'm trying to think of
Okay,
what is,
watch Star Wars.
yeah,
The Deserter. I know the guy's name. I just don't
Cut
remember.
LaQuaine. Yeah,
Yeah, Kyle Quain. But um, it'll be interesting because one of the big things about, especially the Bad Batch arc, but the Clone Wars was kind of the idea of like, what does it mean to be a clone? What does it mean to be an individual when you're an exact carbon copy of all these people?
yeah,
And that was the thing that Rex was used to explore the most. Whether he was dealing with the cadets, which Echo was a part of in literally the fifth episode of
yeah,
Star Wars: The Clone Wars, to the final season, episodes of season 7, it's all about exploring and being present at these clones, finding what's unique about them and finding their place in the world
yeah,
despite being stuck in the middle of war. And Rex, he experiences the most loss. And he talks about that a lot in season 7, where, it's like, I've watched my brothers die. I've lost so many. And that's why he goes after Echo, despite Echo being one of his greatest failures, losing Echo.
yeah,
So I'm very excited, and I think they have a lot of emotional backdrop that they can use there. Just considering the
yeah.
past of Rex and Echo alone. I mean that in itself you could write a show on.
Yeah, and I kind of like the idea of viewing it this way. Like the Clone Wars was, what does it mean to be just like a clone in general? Like, what does it mean to be a part of this large group? What does it mean to be where everyone's the same sort of thing? And I think the Bad Batch's angle on it is, what does it mean to be unique out of being a clone?
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
So
So I really think like seeing Boba is like a perfect example because I think the Mandalorian also explores themes like what does it mean to be a Mandalorian in a lot of different ways, and you come across all these different characters that are Mandalorians, and like Boba Fett isn't your typical Mandalorian because he's a
yeah,
clone.
and the interesting thing about Boba Fett and the clones is like certain Mandalorians do not view the clones as having any stake in Mandalore. Even the son of a Mandalorian, the Mandalore, um, it's just it's kind of this dichotomy you get with the Mandalorian. So it's just they have so much ground that they could cover. I'm
Yeah.
very excited for it. So we'll see. Is there anything that you think like, man, Tuesday when I pull this up to watch it, I'm super excited for this. Like, what are you feeling for the premiere? What do you think everyone should be looking out for? What are you excited for and hope we all get to see? Like, what are your feelings right now
I
about this
think
trailer?
I think the first episode is gonna focus on a lot of world building. I think that's the thing that we're not really talking about. Um,
Mm,
just because I think it's I think they're gonna use this like 70 minutes to do a few things. One, of course, is make the character roles as likable as possible for the most part. I think that's just like making sure viewers can watch it and be like, I like this guy most a little, or like just start thinking about that, planting those sorts of seeds. I think is something like that. Uh, really portraying how being like being a clone is for them versus other clones, and like how Coruscant is like, because I think that's where we're gonna spend a lot of our time in the first episode is either Coruscant or Camino. It looks like so seeing like what is it me or like what is the world like and how is it different under the Empire immediately after transition?
yep.
Like
I mean,
we'll
that's exactly
start to
what we're
see
gonna see.
people's lives be taken away, and I think we'll be seeing that a lot more throughout the show. Um, but I also think another thing that's important to keep in mind is of the trailers of what we've seen. I don't think we've seen much past the first 3 episodes, even if not past the first. And I think that's what's going to be important for the show long term, because we could watch. I think there's a good chance we can watch this new episode come Tuesday, and we'll be like, "Wow, that was great. That was amazing." And you're like, "What's next?" And you're like, "We literally don't know because we've seen all the footage now, and it was all in the last 70 minutes."
Yeah, that's the big thing is 70 minutes. That's a small movie,
Yeah,
and with this, you're talking. They've said 70-minute runtime. So to me, that means we've got our if we're thinking classic Clone Wars recap, we've got a 1 minute intro and about 3 to 4 minutes of credits. So you capped it off, you got
yeah,
65 minutes. If you're thinking three-part structure, three-act structure, I mean, they can do a lot. If in the first act, that's when they decide they need to leave, they get that down, and then they're just trying to find somewhere to go, and then they get themselves submitted in that third act into
yeah,
okay, this is where the show's gonna go. I mean, we could literally, oh, they're gonna throw away everything from the first trailer, and it's like, oh, that used to be considered a movie sin, but Disney does that all the time
yeah.
with new shows. I
And
mean, that's what
it's
they did with the Mandalorian.
yeah. I think the thing I only think that of what we may not see is if we don't just the clips of newer characters. I think if anything it's going to set the tone and be like you said like giving it like this is what the show is going to be. We've set it up perfectly. You had 70 minutes you have like the 60-70 minutes of background on these characters and why they feel the need to get the fuck out of the Empire. Like
Yeah,
I
I think
think
that's the main scope of the episode is
yeah, because
get them, you
I think it'd be
establish them,
rough to
hit them with
see.
Omega, and then they leave.
Yeah, I think it'd be difficult to try to fit in both Fennec and Saul Gerrera and Rex all in the same 70 minutes.
Yeah,
But I could also see, I can see a world in which there's this conflict with Fennec hunting them or something.
yeah, and I'm not talking. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
they're gonna use everything, but I mean like big action scenes.
yeah,
Um, that's a possibility. But with Finnick and Guerrera, I mean, those are just two. Saw Gerrera is for the super like a lot of the superstar Star Wars fans. He's a very like what's the word I'm looking for? He's just very grabbing because he is involved in a lot of really big emotional, crazy stuff in
yeah,
Star Wars canon. Well, Fennec Shan, she's hot, she's new, she's badass. So
yeah,
she's a good way to grab new viewers. I think that they're kind of grabbing at two edges of that in the trailer, where I think everything else seemingly could be a part of this episode. But I think it would be mostly background. And I
yeah,
actually don't think that's a bad thing because we're all getting thrown into a new world. We've seen what the this transition from the Clone Wars to the Empire looks like from the good guys' perspective, quote
yeah,
unquote. You know what I mean? Not the Empire.
yeah,
This is the first time we're really going to get a look into it outside of content that is books not in canon anymore that are
Yeah.
in Legends.
And I think it's important that it's like I feel like there's going to be such a difference between like it literally seems like it's picking up like within like literally the first week of like the transition period versus like into where Jedi Fallen Order is, and then all the way to like Rebels, and then all the way to New Hope. Like I think this transition across the galaxy is very different, but of course you'll see like the varying signs of authoritarianism and like just in general the Empire, the suffering that comes with it. But I think seeing that slowly spread from a very early area will be interesting.
Yeah,
Because I think for them, there's going to be a like the Empire. I think it'll be interesting if we can see like a how we saw in the movie Solo when he enlists to basically escape. How they just have like random ground troops and like an Imperial army. I think it'll
yeah,
be interesting if we can see that versus just stormtroopers. Like they have to go into a planet that's at war with all they just basically have this giant infantry they're sending.
yeah. I mean, the war's not finished, right? It's going to keep going. There's going to be a power vacuum.
Yeah,
That's the most interesting part of all of this.
and every planet pretty much wants their independence if they away from the empire of all things, if not be united with other like-minded planets.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting. I'm excited to see it. So I think the last thing we'll do here, and then we'll kind of just say our goodbyes. Let's just kind of give everyone the hey, I've listened to what you guys said. I've got some downtime before this comes out, or before I watch it, I just want to watch some content. Let's just kind of cover the stuff. If you're gonna watch something and you want to watch it before Bad Batch, this is what it is.
All right.
For me, I would say the minimum. Watch the Bad Batch arc from season 7 of Clone Wars. It's episode 1 through in season 7. Um, I mean, you're gonna watch it for the Bad Batch, and there's just that amazing soundtrack. It's just so good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, after that, anything else is pretty much just get the full picture of other
Yeah.
characters like Echo. So watch, and these are literally the titles of these episodes, so you can always Disney's great, so you can search episodes by their title. So Rookies, Clone Cadets, Art Troopers, The Citadel, and Counterattack. And the thing about these is they're actually kind of spread out throughout the Clone Wars. Rookies, we get that in the very first season, but we don't really get too much content until season 3. Again, with these characters, and they've grown, and the war has grown a lot with them. So you really just, if you want to get the complexity of Echo and the Domino Squad and how that affects the Bad Batch and how they're viewed, those would be the episodes I would recommend you look into. But like I said, I mean, at a minimum, watch the Bad Batch arc from season 7. It's going to take you 2 hours. You'll get through it, and you're going to get a pretty good idea of who this crew is. And I think we did a good job of covering what they are and what we might see from them. But
Yeah.
if you definitely want to get your vibe, get your feel on them, get your uh, that's probably a smart idea to watch that
Yeah.
first.
Also, Odie, I'm very determined now that we've talked about how they're basically the A team of remaking the A team intro, but for Bad Batch. I think that's a good idea.
I think that would be a fun idea.
I don't
Let's
know.
do that.
I don't know what else I'm gonna do tomorrow, so I think I'll just do that,
That's hilarious.
or I'll wait till the first episode is so I have footage.
I vibe with it. I vibe with it. Alrighty, everyone. Well, I think, do you have anything else to say about the Bad Batch to keep everyone updated on what they need to know before May 4th?
I'm just very excited for the Bad Batch. I don't have anything related to the show to say,
Yeah,
but
me too. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in. The Galaxy. If you liked the episode, please consider subscribing to us on wherever you get podcasts from, and share our podcast with a friend or a family member who might enjoy it. Helps our show grow, and we just appreciate it a lot. If you want to interact with us, just help us make the show better as we kind of go throughout these coming weeks. You can interact with us on Twitter or our Discord, and if you're listening to the audio, you can get that in our show descriptions. But if you're in Twitch chat, we'll drop our Twitter right there in chat. So thanks for tuning in, guys. We hope to you again on May the 4th for our Bad Batch premiere review. Goodbye, and may the force be with you all.
all right.